What's up, nostalgia junkies? Remember when you'd be watching your favorite TV show and then suddenly the network would try to sell you on some bizarre spin-off that made you question everything? Today, we're diving into 7 spin-offs so embarrassing they explain why Gen X turned out the way we did. Cynical, sarcastic, and with trust issues when it comes to sequels. Hit that subscribe button if you've ever yelled, "Why?" at your TV during one of these abominations. First up, the new Gidget from 1986, because nothing screams fresh idea like recycling a beach movie concept from 20 years earlier and slapping the word new on it. The original Gidget from the 60s gave us Sally Field as the adorable teenage surfer girl.
Can we smile appreciatively?
If you don't, I'll be traumatized for life.
You look just darling.
Ta-da!
But by 1986, apparently someone thought, you know what America needs? A married Gidget who still surfs. Enter Karen Richmond as Gidget, now all grown up, married to her dreamboat Moondoggie, and somehow still finding time between mortgage payments to hang 10. Fun fact, this wasn't the first attempt to revive Gidget. There was actually a short-lived The New Gidget cartoon in 1977, and ABC tried a pilot called Gidget's Summer Reunion in 1985 that somehow led to this syndicated series. That's 3 attempts to resurrect a surf-crazy teenager from the 60s. Talk about Hollywood beating a dead horse. The show gave us Gidget solving, wait for it, beach mysteries. Yes, because when I think of surfing, I immediately think crime solving. It's like they took Murder, She Wrote and said, what if Jessica Fletcher could do a sick cutback? The 80s neon aesthetic clashed so hard with the 60s beach vibe that watching it felt like your eyes were having an argument with each other. And you know what made it extra painful? Original Gidget creator Frederick Kohner actually approved this monstrosity before his death, essentially signing off on his beloved character turning into a beach detective with shoulder pads. How many of you caught this in syndication and thought, this isn't the Gidget I remember? And if you think that's bad, wait till you see what they did to one of the greatest TV shows of all time. Remember the MASH finale? That emotional gut punch watched by over 105 million Americans? Well, CBS looked at that success and said, let's milk this cow till it's bone dry. Enter AfterMASH, the 1983 spinoff that followed Colonel Potter, Klinger, and Father Mulcahy working at a veterans hospital in Missouri. The problem? MASH worked because it was about finding humor amid the horror of war. When you remove the war and just set it in a regular hospital, you get a regular hospital show. It's like taking a shark out of Jaws and calling it Boat. Here's the real tragedy. This wasn't just some quick cash grab with random actors. This show reunited Harry Morgan, Jamie Farr, and William Christopher in their original roles, with scripts by actual MASH writers, including series creator Larry Gelbart himself. It's like watching Michael Jordan come out of retirement to play mini golf professionally. Even more painful, the first season actually had decent ratings, landing in the top 20, which convinced CBS they were onto something. They then moved it against the A-Team in season 2, like sending a hospital orderly to fight Mr. T, and ratings crashed harder than a helicopter in the Korean hills. Without Hawkeye, BJ, or any real stakes, AfterMASH had all the comedy of a root canal. The show even earned the dubious honor of being named by Time magazine as one of the 100 worst ideas of the century. Not the decade, the century. CBS mercifully pulled the plug after 1.5 seasons, but not before traumatizing millions of MASH fans. If you were one of those kids who caught this disappointment fest after school, congratulations. You experienced one of television's most epic fails. Speaking of fails, remember when ABC thought landlords deserved their own show? Three's Company gave us the bickering landlords, Stanley and Helen Roper, whose marital bliss was good for a laugh or two per episode. But then some TV exec thought, these one-joke side characters deserve 30 minutes of screen time. And The Ropers was born in 1979, continuing to air in reruns well into the 80s. The premise? The Ropers move to a fancy new neighborhood where Stanley can annoy richer people.
Oh, hi, Anne. Come on in. Thanks.
I just wanted to stop by to tell you how sorry I am that we aren't going to be neighbors anymore.
You're moving?
No, you are.
Revolutionary television, folks. Here's the kicker. When Norman Fell and Audra Lindley were asked to leave Three's Company for their own show, they were smart enough to get a contractual guarantee that if Roper's failed within a year, they could return to the original show. But Roper's lasted just long enough. 28 episodes over 2 short seasons to invalidate that clause. By the time it was canceled, Don Knotts had firmly established Mr. Fully as the new landlord, and the Ropers were left out in the cold. That's some monkey's paw wish fulfillment right there. Another fun fact, Jeffrey Tambor, years before Arrested Development and Transparent, played the Ropers' snooty neighbor, Jeffrey P. Brooks III. Even his considerable talent couldn't elevate dialogue that basically amounted to Stanley's cheap and Helen's desperate, repeated ad nauseum. Norman Fell and Audra Lindley deserved better than a show whose entire comedic premise was Helen wants sex, Stanley doesn't. I mean, how many times can you watch a man run away from his wife before you start to question your life choices? The chemistry that worked in small doses on Three's Company became painfully repetitive when stretched into a full series, and America agreed. The show got to boot after just 28 episodes, allowing Norman Fell to return to Three's Company with his tail between his legs, while Don Knotts' Mr. Furley had already taken his place. Be honest, how many of you were confused when Mr. Roper disappeared and then suddenly reappeared during Three's Company reruns? Talk about TV whiplash. And speaking of whiplash, wait till you see what happens when Fred Sanford lost his son. No, not like that. Sanford and Son gave us the iconic junk dealer Fred Sanford and his long-suffering son Lamont. But in 1980, NBC had the brilliant idea to bring back the show without the "and son" part. That's right, Sanford was just Fred running a junk store without Lamont. It's like making Starsky or Hutch. See, Demon Wilson refused to return as Lamont. Smart man. So they wrote him off as being on a merchant marine ship. Instead, Fred ran a boarding house with new characters who had none of the chemistry of the original cast.
Where's the money?
I ain't got no money. I'm a poor junk man. All I got is $4.50. And my name, here, here's $3. And y'all split it and make us half down, half piece.
You ain't got time for no games, frog face.
Who you calling frog face?
Ribbit, ribbit.
What makes this particularly pathetic is that this wasn't even the first failed spin-off from Sanford and Son. In 1977, they tried spinning off Aunt Esther and her husband Woodrow into the Sanford Arms, which lasted, wait for it, 4 episodes. Apparently, NBC thought, well, that spin-off didn't work, so let's try another one. It's like touching a hot stove, burning yourself, and immediately touching it again to see if it's still hot. To make matters worse, they actually convinced talented actors like Dennis Berkeley and Nathaniel Taylor, who played Rollo on the original show, to join this sinking ship. The producers even brought back characters like Grady, Bubba, and Aunt Esther, essentially recreating Sanford and Son, but replacing Lamont with a random white guy named Cal. It's like trying to fix a broken family photo by cutting and pasting a stranger's face over your missing relative. Red Fox's comedic genius couldn't save this train wreck. The writers kept trying to recreate the father-son dynamic with random new characters, but it was like watching someone trying to fix a broken vase with bubblegum. The show flatlined after 2 abbreviated seasons, proving once and for all that you can't spell Sanford and Son without the "and son." How many of you feel personally betrayed by this spinoff? Drop a junk emoji in the comments if you remember this disaster. But if you think that's bad, wait till you hear what ABC did to some Happy Days favorites. Let's talk about Joanie Loves Chachi, quite possibly the most unnecessary spinoff in TV history. In 1982, ABC decided that what Happy Days secondary characters Joni Cunningham and Chachi Arcola really needed was a music career in Chicago. Yeah, Scott Baio and Aaron Morin were shipped off to the Windy City to pursue their rock and roll dreams, far away from the safety net of the Fonz and the gang. The show centered around their romance and struggling band, with Chachi's mom and stepfather running a restaurant where they performed. Here's a fun fact. The show actually premiered to high ratings, ranking number 17 in its first short season. Why? It aired right after Happy Days in a brilliant bit of schedule engineering. The moment ABC moved it to a different time slot in Season 2, viewership collapsed faster than Potsy's post-Happy Days career. Speaking of careers, this show forced poor Scott Baio to both act and sing, revealing that while he might have been dreamy enough for Tiger Beat covers, his vocal talents were better suited for the shower than television. The show's theme song featured the lyrical masterpiece, Joanie Loves Chachi, Chachi Loves Joanie, repeated over and over, in case you didn't get the incredibly subtle premise of the show. Al Molinaro and Ellen Travolta, yes, John's sister, played Chachi's stepfather and mother, desperately trying to add some adult supervision to this teenage romance. But it was like putting air freshener in a garbage dump. The stench of failure was just too powerful. Now, I need you to really picture this. Two Happy Days side characters trying to make it as musicians in what essentially became a romantic musical comedy. It's like someone threw Happy Days, fame, and a Hallmark movie into a blender and served whatever mush came out. The forced musical numbers were so awkward they could make your skeleton try to escape your body. Worse than cop rock even. And while both characters were charming enough on Happy Days, they simply couldn't carry an entire show. After just 17 painful episodes spread across 2 brief seasons, ABC mercifully canceled it, and the characters returned to Happy Days where they belonged. Did any of you actually sit through all 17 episodes? If so, you might be entitled to financial compensation. But hey, at least Joanie and Chachi weren't alone in spin-off hell. Even the Bunker family wasn't safe. After All in the Family became Archie Bunker's place, CBS wasn't done mining the Bunker family for all they were worth. In 1982, they gave us Gloria, starring Sally Struthers reprising her role as Archie's daughter, now divorced from Meathead Mike and working as a veterinary assistant. Without Archie's bigotry to bounce off of, Gloria's character lost all her shine. The show tried to be both a workplace comedy and a single mom drama, and succeeded at neither. It's like they took the spicy political commentary of All in the Family, ran it through a vanilla pudding filter, and served it lukewarm. What's fascinating is how utterly they butchered the character storyline.
And sit down with your grandpa and have a little talk, huh, kid?
Daddy, don't you dare question that child.
Ah, come on, will you? Who's questioning the kid there, huh, Joey? Hey, listen, how's your old man?
Daddy!
Fine. He's living in a commune and growing a beard.
Gee, baby.
Gloria, if you don't want to talk about it, don't have to. I ain't talking about it here.
Remember her husband Michael, played by Rob Reiner? The show explained his absence by claiming he abandoned Gloria and their son Joey to join a commune with one of his students. Yes, the passionate liberal who spent years arguing with Archie about social justice suddenly became a deadbeat dad who ran off with a younger woman. Character assassination much? Even more cringe-inducing was the show's desperate attempt to recapture the All in the Family magic by introducing Burgess Meredith. Yes, Mickey from the Rocky movies, as Gloria's cantankerous elderly roommate who, surprise, shared many of Archie's conservative views. It's like they were screaming, "See? It's just like the original show, but with dollar store Archie." The new characters had none of the charm or chemistry of the original Bunker household. Gloria's boss at the vet clinic was no substitute for Carol O'Connor's Archie, and without Gene Stapleton as Edith, who'd been killed off in Archie Bunker's place, the show felt hollow. CBS put this show down after just 1 season. Be honest, how many of you completely forgot this show existed until right now? That's the hallmark of a truly forgettable spinoff. And finally, we come to the most painful spinoff of them all. The epic failure that was Three's a Crowd might be the most heartbreaking spin-off disaster of the 80s. After 8 successful seasons of Three's Company, ABC decided to follow Jack Tripper, the brilliant John Ritter, as he moved in with his girlfriend Vicky and dealt with her disapproving father. The show quite literally took everything that made Three's Company work, the roommate misunderstandings, the sexual tension, the physical comedy, and tossed it out the window faster than Mr. Roper could make a homophobic joke. What's particularly sad is that this wasn't even an original concept. It was based on the British series Robin's Nest, which itself was a spin-off of Man About the House, the show Three's Company was based on. So this was essentially a copy of a spin-off of a show that was already a copy. It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a fax from the 80s. All the original charm gets lost in the process. The show also criminally wasted the talent of Robert Madden as Vicky's father, E. Bradford Bradford. Yes, that was really the character's name. Madden had proven his comedic chops as Chester Tate on the brilliant soap opera parody Soap. But there he was, reduced to being a one-note disapproving dad whose entire personality was doesn't like Jack. Most painful of all, the final episode of Three's Company was specifically designed to set up this spin-off, with Jack meeting Vicky and falling in love. So instead of getting a proper send-off for one of the most beloved sitcoms of the era, fans got what amounted to a 30-minute advertisement for a show that would crash and burn a year later. Instead of the zany energy of Jack living with two women and pretending to be gay, we got a domestic sitcom about a guy living with his girlfriend and feuding with her dad. It's like ABC took a Ferrari and replaced the engine with a hamster wheel. The magic chemistry between Jack, Janet, and whoever the third roommate was at the time, Chrissy, Cindy, Terry, vanished. Poor John Ritter tried his best, but even his incredible physical comedy couldn't save this bland retread. ABC canceled it after just one season, and just like that, the Three's Company universe that had dominated the ratings for nearly a decade came to a whimpering end. How many of you felt personally offended when they tried to make this happen? So there you have it, 7 cringe-inducing spin-offs that make us wonder if TV executives in the 80s were just throwing darts at a board of character names. These shows might have been disasters, but there are disasters. The little weird footnotes in the TV history that shaped an entire generation. These failed experiments are why Gen X learned not to get too attached to anything. We watched our favorite shows get butchered into spin-offs more times than we'd care to remember. If you survived these TV tragedies, smash that subscribe button. Drop a TV emoji in the comments if you remember watching any of these monstrosities. Or tell us which one you think was the absolute worst. Until next time, keep those memories safely locked where they belong, in the dusty VHS bin of your mind.